What's up, guys? So today I'm going to tell you about one of the craziest experiences I've ever witnessed, or I've ever had. It was on Zoom. It was during last year because of the Zoom meetings and everything. And let me just say something, a little word of advice before we get into this video. Please make sure that you're muted when you have to say something, and especially if you're going to say something somewhat unsavory or do something somewhat unsavory, just make sure you're muted. Just double check. Like, honestly, double checking your mute button saves lives, guys. Trust me on that. Real quick, if you could check to see if you are subscribed to the channel with notifications on. I'm really trying to hit 200K before the end of the summer because it'd be pretty cool to go to college with 200K. And also, leave a like in the video right now and I will personally deliver nothing to your doorstep. So give me 2 to 3 business days. And while you're down there leaving a like for absolutely nothing, drop a few comments for the algorithm. I also just missed that speed pot because I'm a god at Minecraft. Yeah, drop a few comments down for the algorithm because I like views. Yeah, with that being said, let's kind of get into this story, or a little bit of a life lesson to make sure that I set you guys straight. Make sure you don't do anything you would regret. Just think of me as your teacher in this sense, and prepare yourselves. Buckle in, get some food, maybe grab some popcorn, and yeah, let's get right into this story. So this happened last year around early April. So we had been on classes during late March, and so we're a couple weeks in the Zoom classes. So it's not as if this is our first time on Zoom or anything, or this is our first time getting used to the technology. We went through the routine. We understood what we're doing. You know, we went through the grind basically, and we had 2-hour-long classes. So normally, in a normal year, I would have 5 classes a day, and each class would be about 45 minutes. Some of those classes might be free periods, normally about 1 of them. But in this time, we actually switched it up so that we'd have 2 classes every single day, and the classes would be 2 hours long. So definitely attention spans were not used to this, at least my grades attention span was not used to this. While yes, there were less classes and actually less hours in the day being spent, it was still a lot harder because you had to deal with the same class for 2 hours at one time. And at this point, we didn't even get a break. I think we implemented a break a little later on because of people just weren't doing so well in 2 hours straight of a certain subject. But anyways, that definitely led to some people just, especially when you're like an hour or 2 in, you kind of just lose common sense, or you kind of just forget what you're doing, or basically you get a little sloppy, and someone's sloppiness kind of messed them up for a little bit. I'll keep it a buck. It was not good. It was not a good scene. So let me explain the dynamic of one of my classes a little bit. I'm going to be very vague to keep like privacy and everything, but I don't know if someone recognizes what happened. But anyways, I was in a class, and I'm not going to tell you what kind of class this was, but this was definitely more of a history English class, not a math type class, which means you're probably going to have more discussion, more breakout rooms, some more, just kind of like in a math class, you might kind of just be sitting there, and you might just be kind of listening to someone lecture, and maybe you're doing problems in small groups, but this was definitely more of a group-based class, which is more of an English history type one. And there were 2 girls in this class, and they weren't particularly fond of each other. While like their beef wasn't really apparent in discussions, like they wouldn't like ask each other like sideways questions to try and trip each other up, or they weren't like, you know, that mean to each other in class. They definitely weren't super friends. It was apparent that they weren't friendly. They were a little cold to each other, but apparently, and I learned this after the fact, that like behind the scenes they were like mad beefing. Like it was bad. And I was kind of aware of it. Like I wasn't aware like exactly the details, but like I could definitely tell because I was once in a group with like, I think it was like 5 or 6 other people, and those 2 were actually in the group. And this was like a breakout room on Zoom. There was like 2 or 3 breakout rooms, and we were going around discussing something, and I could just feel the tension. Like I could cut the tension with a knife between these 2. And that's like the first time I realized something was up. But I wasn't like prepared for what was like gonna happen. Like I was not prepared. Like, I just thought that they just didn't like each other, which, you know, I don't like some people, but I kind of just, I deal with it. You know, you just act cordial with each other. You might not go out of your way to talk to them, but I just thought that this was another situation, another scenario like this, and it happens to everyone. But I was wrong. I was really wrong, boys. I was very wrong. All right, so this was a couple weeks in, as I set the scene earlier, and we were in probably about an hour into the class. And since we're about an hour in, this has been going on for a couple weeks. This is the second period of the day, so you already had 2 hours of another class and an hour of this class, so you really weren't paying attention. And, you know, sometimes when people aren't paying attention, they'll go on their phones, maybe they'll text people. But if you're feeling super ballsy, maybe you'll call someone. Maybe you'll be on call with someone and just try and mute yourself, right? But the thing is with that, you're always playing a bit of a risk just in case, you know, the technology breaks or it glitches out and, you know, the mic still is recording or it's obvious that you're talking. So This person had to be super bored to be this ballsy, right? And let me just say, there were no glitches in the technology. Everything went as it should have. It was just 100% on her in this case. So we're in class and we're just sitting there, and I think the teacher's like saying something. I think we might be doing a discussion, like one of those yeah. So it was like a round table kind of discussion, but on Zoom. So there was no round table. So basically, people were talking, and like your mic would light up and everything. And I was seeing this girl, and like her mic was lighting up, and she was talking, and it was while someone else was talking. So I just thought that like she just didn't realize that the other person was talking, because on Zoom it can be a little awkward sometimes. You might speak up when someone isn't speaking up. So the other person who was actually talking just kept going with their sentence, assuming it was a mistake. And the person on the phone call stopped speaking because she was listening. So it looked like she accidentally spoke up and was making a mistake. So no one really batted an eye the first time. So you might be thinking, well, Connor, didn't they see the phone? No. So her camera was on, and she knew that because we were required to have our cameras on, basically. So the phone itself was off screen. And she was like partially off the screen, but you could still see. I don't think she realized, like, she wasn't really thinking about it when she was talking on screen. But she also thought that she was muted. So she thought she could say whatever at what volume, whatever she wanted to say. She just couldn't show that she was using a phone at the time. But she was wrong. She was really wrong. So basically, we're in Zoom class right now, and I noticed her screen light up again, and unfortunately for her, no one else was speaking because it was kind of like a lull in the conversation. Like right after the other person who was speaking said her thing, like no one really had anything to respond to it. It wasn't what she said was stupid, it just didn't really have a response. So everyone was kind of quiet, and this girl who thought the mic was muted literally said, like basically verbatim, I don't remember it exactly. I'll try and get it verbatim. She basically said, I don't want to use names, so I'm going to use girl 1 and girl 2. These are the two girls that hate each other. So girl 1 was basically on the phone, wasn't aware that she was not muted, and said, oh, I hate this class. And I especially hate it because I have to talk to girl 2, insert name. And everyone was just like looking at her like, dude, what is your problem? And I think she realized that she was like, because like everyone like stopped and looked shocked and like looked at her, and like you can't really look at someone on Zoom, but like she noticed that like everyone's eyes moved, and they all kind of like moved towards something. And I think at that point she realized, because I noticed that her like mute thing instantly went on. And the thing was, everyone was like, yo. Everyone was basically like, oh my God, what just happened? But no one wanted to actually like confront that. Like I saw girl 2 was like looking at it and was like kind of like a little bit upset. Like she definitely like noticed it, but she didn't say anything. She wasn't like ballsy enough to say anything, which honestly, I'm really glad that she wasn't, because that would have made an awkward class. But basically the teacher like went in and just like started saying questions and was like, what do you guys think about the text, like page 48? Like he figured it out. He did a pretty good job. He bulldozed right ahead and was like, we're going to start doing this, which 100% respect to him, because he kind of cut the situation where it was getting really awkward. And basically this girl was like, kind of petrified on screen, because she now muted, but she realized that she wasn't muted when she said she hated the class and hated girl number 2 in front of everyone. And I remember as we're exiting the class, I was, thank you so much, Mr. So-and-so. I really, really do appreciate the class. Like, bye everyone. And I remember that I noticed him typing, and I noticed that the girl number 1 kind of looked up. And I don't know this for sure, but like when I left the meeting, she was still there. So I'm going to make the assumption that he sent her a message to stay in the Zoom meeting for a couple minutes before everyone else leaves, to have a little discussion. And, class happened the next day, and everyone was there, and it was normal. But I'm pretty sure she got a bit of a talking to. And let me just say that the instructor no longer did randomized Zoom breakout rooms afterwards. I noticed that they were like preset, and those two girls, girl 1 and girl 2, were never in the same breakout room ever again for the next month or 2 of class. And yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's story video. I really do enjoy doing these story videos. And if you don't want to show your support for the story video, pause this video right now and comment door, because I want to see who made it to the end of the video. Because honestly, if you want to know how to help me out the most, watch time helps me out the most. So literally just watching more of my videos. If you want to help me out a ton, click on my channel or click on some video in the recommended and go watch another one of my videos. That literally helps me the most. If you want to help me out a little bit more, leave a like in this video if you haven't already done so. Make sure my notifications are on, and drop a few comments down below. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's all I want to say. And just thank you guys so much for watching. I really do actually enjoy doing YouTube again. And That's partially thanks to you. Also, our community is like super strong. I'm seeing the same faces coming every single day, leaving a couple comments, and I've been really doing my best to try and heart at least 90% of the comments because I feel like that's the best way I can say thank you. And I can't get to them every day. Some days I'm just too busy or afraid to look at YouTube stats or something, but I do my best, and you guys do an excellent job, and I'm really appreciative. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.